Hey everyone, it's Jexie and welcome to another video. I'm super excited to be filming. I'm first just want to say how blown away I am by all the support that everyone has been showing me, and I hope that my videos continue to be helpful to those who are in recovery, know someone who's suffering from addiction, or just wants to understand it a little bit better. In this video, I'm going to be discussing how friendships are vital to people who are in recovery, and kind of give you some insight into what it was like for me, both before I got clean, during the process of getting clean, and now, in regards to friendships. Friendships for anybody, I think, are really important. I truly believe that it's through relationships that we're really able to stay grounded and able to move forward in life. I think it's extremely lonely if we try to do it alone, and I think we need people in our lives to bounce ideas off of, and also to call us out when maybe we need somebody to be honest with. So before I got clean, even during the time I was using, I've had some really great friends in my life. During the worst of my using, I really didn't communicate with my close friends as much. I isolated a whole lot more, and it was very hard for me to keep up a fake face when a lot of what I was thinking about each day was how to get more drugs. Maybe I was sick from withdrawal and trying to put on a fake smile. I'm a mom, so at the time my kids were a little bit younger, and it was very hard to interact with people. I have to say that the majority of the people I interacted with on a regular basis were people that I benefited in regards to my addiction. For example, they either knew where to get drugs, they were people that I talked to a lot of guys who were blue-collar workers who took pills for back pain and things like that, and I kept those people around because I didn't have a lot of money and I didn't know what to do. And I'll tell you, it's a very degrading feeling having friendships, or what I consider to be friendships, with the sole purpose of helping me keep my addiction in check. So that was hard. So when I went into a rehab program for 30 days. And in that program, it just so happened that I went in at the same time that a whole bunch of other people came in. Now, usually it was staggered. As a bed opened up, they brought somebody else in. This particular instance, it was strange because it was me and a group of 15 of us all together. And I thought for sure, because of getting to know people when you're at your worst, when you're sick, you're miserable, you're getting off drugs, you are not in a great place to meet new people, that the friendships I made in rehab, I thought for sure were going to be lifelong relationships. You kind of get very close with somebody. And the rehab I went to was essentially in a psych ward, so it wasn't like a holiday, one of these places where you get acupuncture and all these wonderful things. I was in a straight out psych ward for 30 days. And so you get really close with people. They told me while I was in rehab that, a lot of the people that you meet in there, they're not going to make it. And I didn't want to believe that. Statistics are what they are, but I'll tell you, and I've talked to others who feel this way too. When you're in rehab, you hear those statistics about how many people aren't going to make it. And you think for sure that your group of friends are going to be the ones that show them up, that you're going to be the ones that make it through. And I really believe that. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that I was in rehab with didn't make it. Not just that they're dealing with active addiction, but a lot of them died. That was hard. That was hard to watch people fail. Out of all the people I went to rehab with, I'm the person who has the longest amount of clean time. And I did have a relapse after. I had relapse after about 6 months. Luckily, it wasn't very long, and I went back into detox, and I now have a little over 6 years. But nobody made it straight from there. Nobody got out of rehab when I did, and stayed clean the entire time. And if you would have told me that before I got out, I never would have believed you. So making new friends was tough. One of the things that most people learn when they're in recovery is that they have to change people, places, and things. You can't hang out with the same people that you hung out with while you were using. It just doesn't work. You can't go to the bar and hang out with your friends if you're trying not to drink anymore. Eventually, you're just going to drink. If you're into smoking pot and everybody you're hanging out with is smoking, maybe for a while it would be okay, but eventually it becomes not fun. it's not fun to hang out with people who are using when you're not using. It makes you feel left out. It's a struggle. And so you try to find friends and new relationships with people who can be more understanding of the fact that you're in recovery. So for me, this was a little bit easier because I was really open about my addiction and the fact that I'm in recovery. And so I never felt like I had to hide that from people. I know a lot of people aren't that open. When you're not able to be open with people and tell them that you're in recovery, it does leave the potential open for you to be put in more uncomfortable situations. For example, my family and friends never ask me if I want to drink. They know I don't drink. There's no need for them to ask. But I know a lot of people who keep it quiet from those they work with, or, and things come up. Like, hey, there's a work party, especially this time of year, Christmas parties and things where people are drinking. It can feel really uncomfortable. And so having good friendships and relationships with people that you can talk to about how these situations make you feel, in my opinion, is vital to staying clean. I remember some of my friends that I had from before, when I was using and who didn't really know the depths of my addiction. I remember telling one friend in particular, and I told her that, I'm in recovery and stuff. And I remember, I was really worried to tell her. I'd spent a lot of time around her and her children. And although I never did anything to put her children in danger or anything like that, it just felt like she would judge me. And I was really surprised, but she hugged me, she told me she loved me, she told me how proud she was of me. And then, from that point on, because we lived close together, there were many times where she would have parties at her house. She would invite me over, and she would always ask, hey, are you okay if there's alcohol? Making it, implying the fact that if I wasn't okay with it, that they just wouldn't serve alcohol at their party. Now, of course, I never would have asked her to do that, and she understood that sometimes it was just hard for me at the beginning, but I couldn't get over the fact that here's a friend who is not an addict, who is, her and her husband had no problem having a few drinks when they wanted to. They were regular people, and she was willing to change what she was doing for her social occasions just so I can feel included and not be left out. Those are the types of friends I need in my life. Today I am in a recovery program, so I do meet a lot of people who are also in recovery, and that's really, really helpful. I do try to help newcomers who just are getting clean, and I offer my support, but it's also important for me to have friends who have clean time, who I can use as a support. I keep my family and friends very close. Friendships are super important to me. There's a lot of times where my thinking is just flat out nuts. I think about things in a way that maybe normal people don't. I keep friends in my life who tell me how it is. My friends don't sugarcoat things to me. My friends call me out. If I'm not calling them enough or I'm not being supportive enough, the friends I have in my life just tell me. They know I don't get mad. I don't get defensive. I accept what they say. I need to. These are the people who are essential for my life. If I had friends in my life who just told me what I wanted to hear all the time, that could be a very dangerous situation for me. I don't need people like that. I need real people. So I hang on to those friends. It's so easy to get defensive when someone's telling you something you don't want to hear about yourself. And nobody likes to hear things like that. Nobody wants to hear that they're not holding their own as a friend or doing their very best in the relationship. But I'll tell you this, the people who tell me how it is, who are honest with me, they're the people who I can also turn to when things are hard. It's not always easy to open up and share how I'm feeling. I like to just pretend everything's fine. Say, no, I'm great. How are you? I need people in my life who can tell when that's not true. I need people in my life who can say, well, you may be saying you're fine, but you don't seem it. What's going on? For me, that's vital. I can have plenty of acquaintances, but true friends, people who are going to be there when it's hard. Look, after a little over 6 years clean, I don't think about using every day. I don't have a problem if I go to a wedding and they're serving alcohol. Those things don't really bother me today like they used to. But I need to have people in my life that I can call and say, I'm having a rough day. I'm sad and I don't want to feel this, or I'm angry and I'm not sure why. I have a lot of emotions and I can't always pinpoint them. So having friends in my life that I can bounce things off of, bounce ideas off of. I mean, look, I'll tell you this, before I even considered doing a YouTube channel, I talked to a lot of people. I asked a lot of suggestions of people. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think this is an unrealistic goal? Do you think I can even help people? When I got a resounding yes, I decided to take the chance. I wouldn't have taken the chance on creating this channel if I didn't have people in my life encouraging me. Friends, to me, are what keep me clean. I guess if I was going to give any advice at all, it would be to pick people in your life, especially if you're in recovery, who tell you the truth. Not people who are mean or aggressive type of truth tellers, but people who aren't afraid to tell you what you need to hear and don't just tell you what you want to hear. We can always find people who tell us what we want to hear. A real friend tells you what you need to hear. And for someone like me who's in recovery, that can be the difference between saving a life or watching me relapse. So I just want to say thank you to all of my friends, to every person who's been there to support me in my recovery, for every person who's there when I need you, for every person who's watched this video and subscribed to my channel, liked the video. I mean, my gosh, I don't think I have the words to express how much that means. You know, I have the opportunity now to speak to people who aren't just my friends, but maybe people who are strangers. Every relationship I have in my life is important to me. The greater my circle of friends, the stronger I feel in my recovery. So thank you all for all your support. And please, please, if you have a suggestion for a video, if you have a question you want to ask me, just leave it in the comments. I would be more than happy to have a dialogue on any topic that you'd want to talk about. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks again for everything.